it's interesting to our mission, but I think it also applies to a lot of other missions from just like hearing other people, is having the aspect of like the city versus the the upstate or the country or whatever you want to call it. Because naturally, a lot of people want to be in the city because that's where all the hype is, the excitement. There's a lot of people. Um, I wish it's a lot more exciting. And so, like as a missionary, like everyone kind of had those desires and just was like, I want to be in the city. And so when people would get transferred upstate, it was almost like they felt like it was banishment sometimes. I know there was this one zone that when I first got in there, and just the older missionaries in my zone, they would just say like, that what would they call it? They're just like outer darkness. Like if you went there, that was just like you were there and it was dark and cold and nothing happened there, and I don't know. They just made it sound really miserable. And so when I got in the mission field, just I had this negative feelings with upstate, and then like just always wanting to be in the city. And then I was in my city area for like 4 transfers, and then I got transferred to an upstate area. But it was one that was Yonkers, which is right above the Bronx. And what people would say about it, and it's true, it's basically the Bronx, but you have a car. Because it's almost like the Bronx just kind of like smushed up into Yonkers. And so like the lower half of Yonkers is just very similar to the Bronx. Because right after Yonkers, I went to the Bronx. And then I kept thinking the Bronx was like, oh wow, this is just like Yonkers. And then when people would go from the Bronx to Yonkers, they would say like, oh, it's just like the Bronx. So I know there's very similar kinds of people and areas, but just because it's more spread out, then the missionaries there get a car. And but yeah. But then once I was in Yonkers, I was there for like 5 transfers, and then I went to the Bronx. And then when I was in the Bronx, I was like, oh wow, well like my upstate experience was good. I liked it a lot in that area, and I really got along with that ward. But I was like, okay, I'd like to stay in the city for like the rest of my mission. And then I was in that area for 2 transfers, and things were going super well. And then I got the transfer call to go to that zone that the missionaries have been talking about in my very first area, about how it was like outer darkness and basically as far north as you can in our mission. And I just remember when I got that call, I wasn't mad, I was just like frustrated. Because the companion that I was with was someone that was getting along with really well. Like the area was picking up. Just everything was going well. And even though like we're having hard times, we were just growing a lot together as a companionship. And then in that specific area, like I was getting to know that we were getting a lot more involved with the ward, and then we even like had a baptism that Saturday after transfers. And so there's just a lot of factors to that. And then I get the call to get transferred to like the middle of nowhere, and I was just so frustrated. And then just for like the next day or two, it just kind of like simmered inside of me, because the way in our mission it would work is you get the call and said you're being transferred. We would know who our companion was, where we were going, and it's usually we'd have transfers on Wednesdays, so we knew. I think that call came on Sunday, so we had like 3 days to like wrap things up, to like finish things in the area book, to tell the ward leaders that was what was happening. And so I had like the next 2 days just kind of like thinking about this. I was like, I know this is what the Lord wants, but I don't feel good about it, kind of thing. And then I remember it was like the personal study the Tuesday before the transfer that I just like prayed just for a lot longer. And I was just like, I know this is where I need to go, but I need to feel it. I need to be like excited about it, because I'm going to go to a new companion in a new area where I need to be excited and be that fire. And then I just like felt a lot of comfort. I was like, okay, this is right. I felt a lot better. I wasn't as angry. And then that's where I ended up finishing my mission. And when I left that area, I knew that was my favorite area of my whole mission. That I had like the best experiences that I had over the course of my whole mission. And that was the one place where I found a full family to join the church. And over the course of me being upstate, I realized that the Lord just has such a better plan for you than you do. That just me and my minuscule thought, I was like, wow, the city's an exciting place. That's where everything's happening. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, look at all the work that I've done. Shouldn't I be able to like help it see it go forth and to see it flourish? But in reality, the Lord knew that there was more work to do upstate for me, and that I would grow so much more by going there. And so it was just a very humbling experience to realize that God really knows what's best. And so I think that applies to any mission, that like if someone is sent to a mission that they didn't really want to go to, I mean, really, they end up finally going there and realizing that that's where God wanted them to go. And so I think it definitely applies to the specific areas. And so I feel like when you are gonna go to the New York North mission, all you can picture in your head is like city. You see like the New York skyline and all those things. But there's so much to be found in the upstate area as well. That leaving my mission, even though I never served where all the cool stuff was in the mission, I felt extremely satisfied with my experience as a whole.